Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Well, I have some more time here to get back into this Cub Cadet. I know it's been a while, but I thought I would do a short video, sort of update you all on where this is at. Kind of been doing some things behind the scenes, buying a few more parts, making a few more parts, but it's my hope that the next video will actually be doing the welding and getting those new spindles back on this tractor. So if you've been watching the previous series, you probably already see something different. I'll get to that here in a minute. But I want to start at the front of the tractor. Let's just work our way through and I'll show you where things are at. So at the end of the last episode, I showed you I had designed and had this custom grill insert made. Again, it's a 3/16 thick steel plate. So I got that bolted in here, and the cast iron nose piece, that's all bolted back on. The front end support for the hydraulic pump, that's all back on the tractor. So I went ahead and bolted that in. Again, there's 4 1/4-inch bolts on the back. And if you're watching this for the first time or seeing this for the first time, you'll notice that, of course, it's not the original wire mesh style grill. I wanted to do something custom here, and here's a picture of an International 460 industrial tractor. You'll notice that it has a similar looking grill. This tractor was from the same time period, the early to mid 1960s. So I thought it would be neat, because this tractor has the front loader, to kind of do something similar looking on the front end, to sort of make it look more heavy duty and more industrial. So International obviously never made one of these for a garden tractor, but if they did, it might look something like this. So these holes are 5/8 in diameter. As you can see, there's quite a few of those. Those were water jet cut on a water jet CNC machine. So pretty happy with how that turned out. I think for now, I'll pull this back out once the weather dries up, and I'm just going to prime that only. Not really wanting to paint anything yet on this tractor, just wanting to do some mechanical upgrades. So again, it takes care of that. That's our custom grill. I did pull the existing muffler off of this engine. So it's just the basic, ball style muffler. I wasn't a fan of where this was positioned, and even not really a fan of all the heavy pipe on there. It works, I just don't think it looks the best sometimes, but the way that was positioned, it was blowing the exhaust onto the loader arm right here. You can see all this black soot. So definitely want to do something with that. So I'll show you, I ordered this is actually a Cub Cadet muffler made for a newer series tractor. But my plan is, I'm going to mount this in here like this. So I have to make a elbow to connect the muffler to the exhaust port on the engine block. But it should fit in there nicely behind that grill. And then the exhaust will actually exit on the opposite side of the tractor from where it does now. So I think what I'm going to do is make a flange. So I'll do away with the, pipe thread connection. I'll go to a bolt-on flange connection. I think that'll look a little better. And then this muffler will sort of be right above the generator belt there. And I have one mounting point right there. So I'll have to build a bracket from that mounting point, maybe back to this mounting hole on the grill to support that. So that's my plan anyway. Got some figuring out some details there, but yeah, make a flange connection here. And I want to add a heat shield right here at this elevation, so right behind this. That will protect the headlights, which will be mounted up here, from that heat from the muffler. Probably don't need it, but easy enough to design a flat plate to mount in there. So I think that takes care of the muffler plans. So I just removed the battery that was in here. It was the one that was in here when I bought this a couple years ago. It wasn't holding a charge. It was starting to actually leak a little bit, so pulled that out. Be buying a new one here for this. But while that battery is out of there, I'll go ahead and get the hole drilled right here for the new headlight switch. Well, it's actually an old existing headlight switch, original one, but I found the specs in a manual that actually locate the hole for you and tell you what size hole to make. So I think I can do that without removing this dash, because to do that it's a little bit of work with pulling the steering wheel and the steering column, and that's just more work. But I think I can, there's plenty of room in here. I can just drill through and locate that switch. So I'll try to take care of that here after this video. Again, just want to give you an update. And then the big thing, since last time, you'll notice there's a set of fenders on this tractor. So the fenders were an option on these 100s, and this one did not come with it from the factory, or it did not come with them. And a few weeks ago I picked up some larger tires for my 140, and the gentleman, he also had this set of fenders in very nice solid shape, really no rust on them. Pretty good price, so I figured while I was there I'd go ahead and pick those up. And that just adds another option to this tractor, sort of optioning it out as much as I can. But these will not be exactly plug and play. I can't just bolt them on, because let me show you. So because of the loader on this tractor, these loader support arms here run back and mount to the axle. So I got the original style mounting clamps with the fenders. So these have the hexagon shape to go around the rear axle, because that casting is shaped like a hexagon. So that would go around the bottom half. I know it's dark. I'll move this piece of wood out of the way. So that clamp would go around the bottom there. And on the fender, way at the bottom, right there, that's where that would mount to the axle. And there's also one more connection. There's a bracket which bolts onto the inside of the fender. And somebody in the past had actually cut this bracket short. They must have wanted to move these fenders in tighter to the tractor. I'll try to show you here with one hand. So these two bolts, one there and one there, those would mount right here, this bolt and that bolt. So these fenders would have been supported by the frame of the tractor as well as the axle. But again, because this loader frame bracket comes back here and mounts, I can't do that. And at first I was thinking that the hole pattern down here matched the bolt pattern for the loader clamp, but it doesn't. It's close. It's off by about ½ an inch. Plus the bolts are different size bolts. These are, I believe these are 7/16 bolts back here. And these would just take 3/8 bolts, I believe. So not the end of the world though. I'll need to figure out how to locate these fenders, because even the, set that down like that for a second. So the fender would actually be even lower than where it is right there, and you can see there's a gap below that mounting plate. It's because the front of the fender is actually contacting that loader arm. So either I'll need to shift the fender out further so it misses the loader arm, or build some sort of adapter to just pick it up a bit. But either way, not a big deal. I have seen fenders on a 100 with the loader, so I know it can be done. I was just hoping it would be a direct bolt on, but again, no problem. That will probably be a video all on its own. But again, just very nice fenders. They even have the original reflectors on the back. So those are still intact, both fenders there. But I was surprised how different those fenders make this tractor look, even just sitting on there loose like that. I think it makes the tractor look a bit taller, but it should look good. So I'm excited to eventually get those on here. So it's really everything new on the tractor itself. Let's get into where I'm at with the steering. All right, I don't want to drag this out too much. I've talked about this a bunch in previous episodes, but this was the original axle off the tractor. That pin is pretty well frozen in there, and the spindles had some wear. The main thing was looking at all these grooves that were cut in the axle from the mule drive for the mower deck, and I didn't realize that's what that was from at the time. So when I bought this spare axle off of eBay, I didn't realize it also had those same grooves on there. I wasn't really looking at it too closely. This axle is in okay shape, but again, it does have those grooves cut in the bottom there. There was a comment left, I believe 2 videos ago. Somebody commented and said they would not use either of these axles on this tractor because it is a loader tractor. That axle, of course, you know, it's going to see more load than a just a standard lawn tractor with a lawnmower on it. Do I think this would ever break? Probably not. But I decided, you know, I'm doing this right. I'm kind of doing everything from scratch. I found a nice looking axle on eBay that does not appear to have any mule drive damage. And overall, the axle just looked nicer. So I don't have it yet. Should be in the next day or so. So I want to get that in, check the spindle bores, make sure it looks good. And the axle I just purchased, I don't have yet. It actually has the grease fitting right in there for that pivot pin. So kind of odd. I discussed it in the last video. This axle or that one, neither one of them have a grease fitting, which I've kind of found odd. But hopefully this third axle works. I'll probably keep this one because it was original to the tractor, and then I will probably resell this one. So that's pretty much it with the axles. Again, would that work? Yes, but I'm doing this. I want to do it right. Let's get a nicer condition axle under that front end. And the final update here, I did some more work off camera, got the second spindle drilled. I ended up going with the 4-degree total camber, and so I had to drill a hole at 12 degrees again. So that's what I went with. Someone left a comment down below the last video saying that was too much in their opinion. Appreciate the comment. I sat on this for a while. I looked at it some more on the tractor, got some outside opinions on this, and I made the decision. I'm going to stick with the camber as I had it on the first side of the tire, or first wheel. So, yep, got that drilled. Went pretty well. Something else I did, so I mocked up the existing spindle here into the axle, and if this axle does not move, you can locate where this washer is, basically where the bearing rides up against. So I was able to locate that. I used some wooden blocks out here. Then I slid this spindle out. I had a piece of this 3/4 round stock cut, so I slid that into the spindle here, trying to do it with one hand, a little difficult. And then I was able to slide this new spindle up into the point where this spindle contacted the wooden block, which is not here, but that's what I used to get the same elevation as the existing spindle. So that way I really shouldn't be raising or lowering the front of the tractor. I wanted to keep that the same height as before. So that's how I did that. Pretty simple. So after mocking it up and doing some measuring, found out I needed a 5 1/8 inch long piece, and the other side is a 6 inch long piece. So the shorter piece, I had a hole center drilled and tapped, and that is to mount this heavy plate washer, which is from the original front axle. So that hole, that's a 3/8 by 16 thread per inch hole, and that's 7/8 of an inch deep in there. So let me mock this up and I'll show you. So here's that plate washer. Thread that bolt down on there, and I'll just use a wrench to cinch that down. Okay, so that's going to replace the right hand side, so slide that down through, and then one of the new spindles, of course, will go on the end of this. And I figured it out, because the spindle, it's on a different angle than a vertical piece, of course, because of the camber. If I locate the center of this 3/4 hole in my spindle right at the end of that 3/4 shaft, that pretty much sets where the spindle needs to be. So that's how I'm gonna locate that to weld that. But of course, I'll need to put on one of these new steering arms first. So just kind of showing you the mock-up, but next video I want to get into the welding of this and actually getting it done. I know it's been a while and it's been a lot of updates and a lot of talking, but I just want to show you kind of where I'm at with this. So that's what it's going to look like. Of course, the steering arm, I need to bend that to get the correct offset to match the original offset. And my thoughts are, I might want to add in a bronze washer in between this steering arm and the bottom of that axle. So I'll try to find one of those, and then I'll build that into my fit up. So I'll put the washer in between there, then push this arm up against there, get it squared up and everything, and then I'll tack weld it, pull it apart, and then I can weld everything out in the bottom. I know some people, I think they get like a radial bearing, like a needle bearing, and they'll put that, basically it's a thrust bearing is the word I was looking for, but it goes in between there. I've seen some people make that aftermarket. You know, that's perfectly fine. I think I'm going to go for a bronze flat washer though. For something like this, the grease should come down and bleed out the bottom, so that washer should get some lubrication. Before I weld anything up though, I'll probably put a very thin gasket just as a spacer in between this flat washer and the casting. So I'll pull that down tight to basically just allow a very small gap. Then I'll fit everything on there and do all the fit up work and tack weld everything into place. That way nothing's binding. If I would have that washer contacting, then as this thing is steering, that washer would be grinding into the casting. You can have a very small gap there, and that way nothing's going to rub. So that takes care of that side. The opposite end, this 6-inch long piece, I will need to drill a hole straight through the middle of that to match this hole, and that is for this steering lever. So this is where the steering linkage, the drag link from the steering box connects to. And again, that's on the left-hand side of the tractor. So I'll show you. That new shaft will sit up in there. I can center punch that hole, basically mark that hole. I will drill it out, and then this side's also good to go. I'm going to be reusing this one. Nothing really wrong with it. There's a bolt that goes all the way through there to connect that. So yeah, I got all the items ready to go. One last thing, I'll need to cut off the excess material from the main spindle. I definitely don't need, that's almost 2 or 3 inches sticking off there, so I'll cut that shorter. Then I'll be good to start fitting this up and doing some welding. So looking forward to that. I think that about wraps this video up. I know it's a bunch of talking, a lot of behind the scenes work, figuring out these different lengths and what I need to do. But again, this is custom, so hope you find this interesting. And like I said, next video, I want to actually start throwing this thing together. I've been kind of stacking up some parts here, waiting to get some parts in. That wraps this one up. Again, I appreciate you watching, and hopefully you find this interesting. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. I'll try to get to them. And I appreciate you watching.